What's up, Subie friends? Welcome back to the channel. So you know what? Today we are finally going to talk about all the engine mods that we've done to this car. I'm super excited, so let's just get started. Alright, so if you haven't already watched the videos where we talked about the interior, so one of my favorite mods is actually one of the first few mods that we did to this car, even before the 4th brake light mod. This mod is, as well as the exterior, very close. Not only are these daytime running lights, or DRLs, whatever you want to call it, and we even went over the drivetrain. Your wheel spec, what size your wheels, what kind of wheels? Finally gonna answer that. Explain something. Alright, so wheels, these are, but today we're finally gonna talk about all those cool engine mods that we did. Now, most of the mods we did on this car was reliability, but we also did a lot of performance mods, which are the fun mods. And at the end of the video, yep, I'm gonna give you a total of how much money we actually spent. Yeah, I'm kind of worried about that one. Well, no, not actually worried. I should be more excited, but either way, I'm gonna show you how much the grand total is. Hopefully I don't forget this time, like I had last time. All right, the first thing that we have on our list is our GetaDomTune Cylinder 4 mod, which is, well, can't really see it, but I'll put a clip right here. If you don't know where it's at, follow me, I'll show you. Under the car. Under the car, past the calipers, past the Fortunatos, past this thing. Here we got our axle. Go right on up here, right all the way up there, right up in there. And you can see that this here is the bolt that needs to come out. Basically what this does is it reroutes your coolant line to one of your cylinders, which is cylinder 4. Cylinder 4 is basically known to be the one that gives the most problems because it has the most heat next to it. Your unequal length headers have a big giant block of cast iron heat buildup right there next to the cylinder, which causes that cylinder right there to get the hottest, and that which causes very, very bad day type problems later on. So what I did was I installed this cylinder 4 mod. That way it keeps this area, or the cylinder 4, cooler than it normally would not if you didn't have it there. It's a great mod, and it's been suggested by a lot of people to do that one. So I did it, and it wasn't too hard. Alright guys, let's go! Oh, I got the coolant on me. So, let's move on. All right, now, another part that you can't see is underneath of here, and that is our TBW under tray. We are running the TBW under tray, as well as some Titanium Works hardware to make it look extra good. That tray is such a big improvement over the factory plastic thing. The plastic one, well, it's plastic. It has too many pop clips and too many bolts, and it's a pain in the butt to change your oil. The TBW under tray has 2 sections that you can unscrew easily, which is one for the oil filter, and the other is to change the oil. Also, the under tray is aluminum, which means it'll dissipate heat a lot easier. It also has vents so that all the heat will go out of the engine a lot easier than a stock one. That under tray, very inexpensive, comes in a bunch of different colors, and I definitely, absolutely recommend it. In addition to our TBW under tray, we're running the Mishimoto oil drain plug. This drain plug replaces your original factory drain plug bolt with a drain plug that just has a simple valve that you open and you close by hand. Makes oil changes ridiculously easy, especially with the under tray, because you don't have to take off that big giant plastic under tray. Yeah, just makes life easier. Definitely a recommend. All right, now let's move to the top of the car, because I don't feel like being on the ground anymore. And I'm back on the ground again. Yeah, I don't even know why. But, okay, so one of the early on modifications or reliability modifications that we did, and it was actually most recommended by a lot of you guys, is to do the AOS. So what I did is I went and I purchased COBB's AOS, or air and oil separator. Now the main reason I went with COBB is because they are CARB legal, which I'm going to mention that quite a bit in this build. CARB legal basically means that it's emissions legal and you can have this modification done to your car legally. And a lot of these emission things are a big deal here in California, so I went ahead and went the easy route, but was also the more expensive route because this one costs a little bit more than the IAGs and other air oil separators. However, if I were to get pulled over for any of these mods, I could show them the CARB sticker and it would be CARB legal. Pretty cool, right? Now, basically, your AOS or air oil separator catches all the oily air from the engine, separates the oil from it, and then sends the clean air back into the intake. The clean oil drains back into the engine and helps keep the intake running a lot cleaner and running a lot better. Something else that you can't see, but right down here where your turbo is, I'm running the COBB's turbo blanket. Now this blanket goes on the hot side of the turbo, and what it does is it keeps the heat of the turbo confined to that one spot, reducing heat soak. Since your turbo is right here next to the intercooler and right there in the engine and everything else, this just helps keeps the engine a little bit cooler. So I've heard good things and I've heard bad things about running a turbo blanket. First, I heard that it's a good thing because it keeps the heat onto the turbo, whereby it keeps your engine cooler. But then I also heard that it makes your turbo last not as long. I don't even know what to believe, but I got it, and you know what? I feel a lot better having it. However, I did buy a ridiculously overpriced one from COBB. I mean, you could have got one from a different brand and it would have done the exact same thing, but that's the route I went, and it is what it is. All right, moving on over to this big gigantic thing in the middle of the engine. This right here is Mishimoto's top mount intercooler. Another thing that's also CARB legal here in California. This one, because it came with the CARB sticker. I think also one of these days I'm gonna peel off that sticker and just replace it on there so that it's level and even, because it actually does bug me, even though I never see it. Now this Mishimoto top mount intercooler is not only big and heavy and a pain in the butt to get out of the car, but it does actually keep the car a little bit cooler than your factory intercooler. Where the factory intercooler is good, but this one is just a lot bigger, beefier, and it looks really cool. Now if you look right down underneath of there, attached to our top mount intercooler, I'm running Mishimoto's 2-inch 90-degree coupler. The Mishimoto 2-inch 90-degree coupler is made out of silicone and it'll last a lot longer than your old factory one. Also, it makes the top mount intercooler a lot easier to put on when you're trying to get the hose connected to the turbo. And while we're talking couplers, I'm also wearing the COBB throttle body coupler. Funnily enough, this is CARB legal too. I didn't think it was at first, but you know what? It came with the sticker, which was another thing that I thought was cool. You too, see how it looks. This is not made out of rubber. It's made out of what? Poly something urethane? I don't know. But basically, it'll last you forever. Plus you get a cool logo. First off, you absolutely do not need to replace your bypass valve. Your factory bypass valve is rated to hold up to 400 horsepower. So last year, I ditched the old bypass valve and I went with this COBB LV bypass valve. We don't want to forget, behind our big gigantic Mishimoto intercooler, I'm also running the Grimspeed pitch stop mount, which, you know what, I did cover in the previous video, but I'll talk about it briefly now. Your old pitch stop mount is super thin, tiny, and well, it's a joke. An aftermarket pitch stop mount will absolutely change how your car feels when you step on the throttle. It's a super easy mod to put on or to install, and it is definitely one that a lot of people recommended to do, so I went ahead and did it. Didn't really quite feel the difference or notice the difference, but I guess I'm just special. I don't know. Now in front of our top mount is this ridiculously beautiful COBB alternator cover. I seriously love how this thing looks. This small little piece just made the center of the engine bay look so much better than when I had that plastic one there. Now eventually I do plan on getting the fuse box cover. Well, as soon as I get like $200 that I just feel like spending on a very small something. But I do really love COBB's red line products because all their weaves all go in the same direction. Which leads us to COBB's red line carbon fiber intake. This right here, I believe, is just one amazing piece of work of art. You know what? It just looks amazing. Not only does it look amazing, but it sounds really cool. Not only does it sound really cool, your IATs are a lot lower than when you have the SF or when you have the factory one. But really, this right here will make your engine bay stand out versus a lot of other ones if you want to spend that extra. This mod, the reason I went with COBB is because that it was CARB legal. If you get pulled over, you can just say it's legal. And yes, it is absolutely stunning and beautiful to look at. However, cleaning the air filter is kind of a pain in the butt. Because yeah, you gotta take this whole thing apart to get to the air filter. But you know what? A fun Sunday, Saturday, weekend working on the car, no big deal. The old factory radiator was not the best radiator. So instead I went with Mishimoto's X-Line radiator. This is the Mishimoto's thicker radiator, so it holds a lot more coolant and it keeps the car a lot cooler on those hot summer days. And yes, I know there is many other companies that make radiators, but I went with this one. Then yeah, I could have went with CSF or Coil Rad, but you know what? A radiator's a radiator. They all, as long as it keeps the car nice and cool, then you know I'm happy. Also, can't point out some of our titanium works here. Like I said, I'll go over later on. But we also have titanium works radiator stays. And these are stunning. Also, for our radiator, we're running Mishimoto top and bottom silicone hoses. These silicone hoses should probably last a lot longer than your car will. For sure, a lot longer than the old factory rubber hoses, which are known to crack and break over time because cars heat cycling. Now, paired up with our radiator is COBB's overflow tank. This black overflow tank basically gets rid of the plastic overflow tank that's right here and just cleans up your engine bay a little bit and just adds a nice black stealth look to it that I really like. Doesn't do anything special, but does look really good. And if you ever wonder where does your wiper fluid go, well, it's this part right there. And in my opinion, this cleans up the engine bay so well with the rest of the COBB products and our big fat radiator. All right, now right down here, you see that white line right there? That right there, I am running a remote oil pressure sending kit. And what that does is that is sending oil pressure to our gauges, which we're about to hop in the car and see. But right down here, there is an oil galley plug that you can just pop off and you can put this sending unit kit right here and it'll read your oil pressure. There's not only this one right here, but there's also one that's right underneath for their alternator, which a lot of people also use as well. Another really cool mod that I like is the gauges. One mod that I hate is this beeping sound. So these are the VLS OLED gauges, and they look super crispy and fantastic at nighttime. When you're driving and you have the little red lights on from the footwell as well as your gauges going and you're just in that vibe, it's just unbeatable combination. These gauges are super cool. Right now I'm just running the oil pressure as well as the wideband. They just look so good at night and they sit inside of the cubby pod that I picked up from IAG. If you're thinking about doing this, I highly recommend you get this now because these cubby pods are getting harder and harder to find. Now, I know there's a whole lot of different kind of gauges that you can get, but the main reason I wanted these was because they were OLED and they look really good. I think eventually I'm going to do another one which is going to have the oil temperature, because right now just oil pressure and oil temp, I could go a little bit more. I'm just not quite sure of where exactly I would put it since you can only fit 2 here. One thing about them being down here, compared to the ones that you can mount on the pillar or the gauge cluster, it has its advantages and it has its disadvantages. One advantage means that you're always focused on the road. The disadvantage is it's down here and sometimes you might not notice something happens. All right, so follow me over to the driver's side. I'm also right here as I'm running the COBB's Accessport, or the Anxiety port. If you have a Subaru, then you most likely know about the Accessport, so we won't even go into detail about that. Right below our Accessport, we have our Mach V Accessport vent dock mount. That's a lot to say. What it is that we take out the vent that's right here and we mount our access port so that it's really easy to see and read. The only downside about this is that you can see it from the outside. Like if you're standing in front of the car and you know what it is, well, you know what it is. I like it up here versus having it down here where the gauges are. It's just easy to read, and sometimes when you're driving down the freeway or something, it's easy to look at the access port and see exactly if your car is going to blow up or not. Okay, now on to one of my favorite mods, besides the intake. The intake is basically for us, for the passengers or the drivers, because it makes that cool intake noise. Now the exhaust, see, the exhaust is for the people driving in the car next to you and everybody else. So right now I am running AWE's Touring exhaust. This exhaust sounds so good, and thanks to AWE's 180 technology, there is zero droning, and it makes this crazy deep Subaru rumble that just sounds so good and so clean. Yeah, like that clip there. I mean, it is just one of my favorite exhausts that I've heard on a Subaru ever. Eventually, I do want to get the track edition, but I have a feeling that might be too loud, and I don't want to go and buy it just to have it for a couple of months and then take it off and try and sell it again. So right now, the AWE Touring exhaust is the one that I'm going to have for probably a very long time. I did have to pick up Grimspeed's 3-inch super thick boy gasket for the middle, so when I changed out the old exhaust, I upgraded that gasket as well, and just a little thing. Okay. Alright, so coming back up to the engine bay, I want to talk about all the Titanium Works products, or all the Titanium Works hardware that I did for this car. Total of the Titanium Works hardware, well, I'm just going to put that right here because there's so many different pieces. I mean, I have the Titanium Works radiator stays, I have Titanium Works worm clamps, bypass valve hardware, and just bolts everywhere all over the car. And you know what? It looks so good, especially this whole row right there. Yeah, every time I pop the hood of the, I did say pop the hood. Every time I pop the hood and I look, I just think, wow, those look so good. One of the things I do want to upgrade on the engine, I want to get COBB's Red Line fuse cover, the carbon fiber one. That's the one that they make. And you know what? As soon as they release them, if they ever do release them, hopefully they haven't forgot about us, they make those fender shrouds. I know they made them for the VB chassis, but us VA chassis, well, maybe they just left us behind. But I think that would tie in the look of the engine bay, so good. But yeah, okay. All right, now a few other things that we did that probably don't really count, but I think that they should count. We swapped out those factory spark plugs for one-step colder spark plugs, which I kind of thought the car ran a little bit funny, so I took those out, went over to COBB and purchased a whole new set of spark plugs. And yeah, I had to do that process all over again. Another thing that I probably should, maybe, I don't know, will count in, would be the timing belt hardware. Timing belt itself, we picked up from Company 23, and you know what? Yeah, I'm including that in the cost because it's just something that I did. It's the first time ever doing anything like that, and I'm pretty happy on how it turned out. You know what? I'm also going to include on that price the water pump. That's a pretty important part, so you know what? We're absolutely including that into the price. So with all of this being said, I think we pretty much covered everything that we have done to the engine. We've done a lot of reliability and a lot of performance. Well, some performance, mostly reliability. All right, so how much did we actually spend? Well, just on the engine mods we spent, yeah, I guess that is kind of a lot, but you know what? It was worth it. But if you add it all up together, engine mods, drivetrain, the interior, the exterior, all the mods that we did so far total to this car, well, that is, it's kind of a lot. Also, I really hope you guys enjoyed this series and you learned something from it. I got at least some kind of knowledge from it. I wanted to do this a little bit different than what I've seen on YouTube, where people just read stuff off the list and then say we did this, and yeah. But I wanted to show you guys, I wanted to explain why I did it, how I feel about it, if it works, if it didn't work, which, I don't know, I feel like most of everything we did worked. I don't know what I'm doing with my hands right now, but hey, it's happening. But I hope you guys enjoyed this series, and seriously, thanks for sticking around. Stay tuned for some more STI content, and I will catch you guys on the next one. All right, peace out. But hey, you know what? I love this car. It was worth it, and I still got a lot more coming. So you know what? I hope you guys stick around because I got a lot more coming. I don't know what to say. I'm out of here. Yeah, so my neighbor's back. It's gonna be noisy. I came out here as soon as he left, and now he's back, and he's back to work. Oh, it's okay now. It's okay now. Yeah, it's okay now.
The second part of this test involves you. If you have been correctly installed as part of your stereo system, you will now lift the record up, turn it over, and replace it on the turntable with side 2 on the top. You will then proceed to listen to all of side 2. If you do not do this, you have failed the test, and you have the worst hi-fi system in the world, no matter how much money you spent.